Clifton, tell us a little bit about North Shore Scaffolding. Tell us a little bit where it all started and bring us through to the present time.
North Shore Scaffolding was set up in 1981 by my father and his business partner. The company ran through till 2007 as that partnership, where it separated through economic situations. That's basically when I became involved and have been working as general manager since then to now to try and grow the company and keep it afloat.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit then about your background. You bring some very unique experiences in your past and how you relate those to this business.
My background is a bit unconventional. I didn't go to university or never finished my degree. I left school halfway through 7th form. Basically had my own dreams already that I wanted to do, and that was to go sailing at the Olympics. Achieved that in 2000 in Sydney, and after that carried on, lost to Dean Barker in the next Olympic trials, which everyone says, oh well, it's Dean Barker, but I say that's a sad excuse. After that I was coaching. I started coaching in New Zealand at the local yacht clubs, got opportunities overseas in New York, and that led me to meet a lot of high-end business people because I was dealing with their children, their most prized possessions. Yeah. And that was probably one of the biggest learning experiences in business that I ever had, was those months or summers in New York. Carried on coaching for the national body, Yachting New Zealand, with lasers at the Olympic classes. Had some quite good success there, and about the time I was finishing there was when the company was being restructured with the split up of the partnership.
So Clifton, you mentioned there some specific traits and the experiences you learnt from these guys over in New York, the people that you worked for, and tell us how those traits, how do you interpret those into your business life now, and how do those impact on North Shore Scaffolding?
Some of the impacts was probably a different mentality that they brought to business. Challenges were never too out there. Anything was possible, whereas New Zealand always seemed to look inwards and find a reason that you couldn't do stuff. In New York, they always found a reason to justify, and it was sort of like the polar opposite to New Zealand. And there was always a lot of commitment to everything, a lot of blasé, but ultimately these guys were hugely successful, and basically they just always did what they thought they wanted to do and just chased it until they finished it.
Fantastic. You know, you like that now, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's rubbed off a lot. I mean, in 2008, when I became involved in the business, the main goal was to support my parents through quite a rough period of their lives. They'd given me a huge support with my sailing and my dreams throughout the time, and it was one of those life things to put back to them and help them out and make sure they didn't lose everything they had. The actual goals of the business were probably a bit wishy-washy because I didn't really know much about the business, even though I'd worked here as a high school kid in my summer breaks. I didn't really understand what their focus was, where they worked, in terms of, you know, in which industry was strong, construction, building, etc. So the main goal initially was probably just a bit emotional driven, come and help parents, make sure they can get through a rough period.
Was there a specific stage there where you started to formulate a plan to go forward with the business?
The plan, which began to evolve, I guess, in the beginning, because I was still going backwards and forwards between coaching and working here, because I wasn't taking any money out of here, I still had to earn a living, was just by sitting there and watching and I began just to learn, gather information, learn, and it was pretty similar to the same methodology to the coaching. Rather than just jumping in and trying to change the business and quick fix bandage, just sit there and watch and see what the issues with the company were and just learn what was successful and what was not. And there's still failures going on, but you could learn from those failures. And over probably the next year, things were tight, but just learning and sitting there and watching, and the plan began to evolve on itself.
And in 2009, Clifton, things were pretty tough in the construction industry. A lot of the people in the industry experiencing some really tough times. What was it that you were experiencing at that time here in North Shore Scaffolding?
Yeah, changes we were forced into. We had to lay off a lot of staff. We had to lay off a lot of management staff because the overheads were just simply too high for the business. That forced a lot of issues, meant people were having to double up on jobs. But during that period I could see there was a lot of double up, a lot of paperwork, a lot of jobs which could be done by computers, by programs, by systems which could be integrated into the company. And I quickly formulated that if the company was going to make money again, it wasn't from just making huge margins out of the product. It was by being efficient and smart with what we were doing. And by that meaning cutting management, cutting overheads which weren't going to make us money.
And cutting those double ups as well, I think,
yeah, exactly.
and those inefficiencies.
Yes.